Well, hello, everyone. My name is Dan Alborn with Jackie Conkle, and welcome to the Appleton REIA podcast. This is something brand new we're doing for our members and other people in the real estate community to help educate you to become better investors. And Jackie's with me here today, and I'm glad we could be kind of kicking this off.
Yeah, and I think our topic today is probably one of the biggest needs for everyone to hear, and one of my biggest pet peeves.
How often is it, Jackie, that we have people come to us at the REIA or just in general that want to get into real estate, and we ask them, so what are you going to do in real estate, and what is the number one response?
Every time they all say, I think I'm going to get started with wholesaling.
Right. It's the common thing that people say, and all the gurus talk about this. Well, the first thing you need to do is get into real estate, and you're going to want to wholesale, but we want to tell you today that wholesaling is the toughest job you could ever have in real estate. So that's the topic of today's podcast. But why do you think it is, Jackie, that all these gurus say that wholesaling is the way to go?
I think it's because it feels like it's the area of least resistance, right? Because you don't need credit, you don't need money, you don't even have to buy the house. We could be, talking about the assignment of contract also being a wholesale. And so I think a lot of people just feel like there's not as much fear getting into a wholesale, right? Because they don't have to buy it necessarily.
Correct. Absolutely. And like you said, there's little cost involved because, a lot of these people that are trying to get into real estate have probably little to no money. That's who they're marketing to, right?
Right.
So although they're going to charge them $20,000, $30,000, we just talked to someone today about that, $30K to be in their program, they're now telling you, it's not going to cost you any money to get into real estate. You could take that $30,000 and you could do some amazing things from a marketing standpoint. But you're right. I think that's the enamor of that is that people want to feel like, we can do this for cheap to nothing. But it's not as easy as it sounds, is it?
No, I almost feel like they're using wholesaling as a way to sell their program because, don't worry, you don't need money or credit. But the reality of it is exactly how we just said it. Wholesaling is the toughest job that you'll ever have in real estate investing. And that is not something that they tell them. No,
they don't, and they make it seem easy. And the reality is it doesn't matter who the guru is. We could be here all day just talking about the different gurus. They all pretty much say the same thing, and their courses are pretty much saying the same exact techniques, just with a different name branded on it, right?
Right.
But here's why it's so hard is that because it's not something specific to your area. I mean, we know that where we live here in the Appleton, Fox Valley, Green Bay area, the market is different than it would be, let's say, in Grand Forks, or I don't know.
Definitely different than Grand Forks.
Right, you know what I'm saying? I mean, but
California or Texas or...
Yes.
There's so many different price points in different markets.
And why does that make it hard? I mean, why is it that someone could just make a blanket statement and say, well, this works in every market? It doesn't always, does it?
Not necessarily. It depends on, if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. And, it's a lot of things because it's what is your marketing? It's, what is your market knowledge? What is your price point? What is the area? Are you working on wholesaling to landlords or are you wholesaling to rehabbers?
Right.
Or are you wholesaling to an owner-occupant, someone who's just going to actually occupy the property in the end, which a lot of times you'll hear being called hotel, where you buy it wholesale and sell it to an occupant. But, you need to know all those different things before you can decide if that's the highest and best.
Absolutely. And trying to figure that out on your own is tough to do, right? To know kind of what is the repair cost of a home, because every area has different costs, right? It's more expensive to do things in like California than, let's say, the Midwest. Knowing the different exit strategies that you just talked about.
Right.
And you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of times these gurus give you all this information and tell you to do this stuff, but at the end of the day, they're not there to hold your hand. And if they do, it's some call center in the middle of Utah that they've never probably done a deal ever in their life, and they have a flip chart of things, the responses to say to you because you're new and you don't know any better and you're trusting these people. Because the guy's course, here's the real thing, is that guy who's out there presenting himself, you never get to talk to him usually, right? They have some other guy who's working for him, and he's probably not done a deal either. So
they put the big name on the cover, but you never meet that big name.
Never. Very rarely do you, unless you have, you find someone off. There are people out there, but the majority of the gurus are not that guy.
For the most part.
Right.
It's kind of like buying a pair of Nikes and expecting to meet Michael Jordan. It's not going to happen. He's just the name on there, or Tiger Woods or somebody.
Yes,
right?
yes.
You're not going to meet the guy.
So, I mean, we've kind of talked a little bit about wholesaling. It's tough, right? It's not easy. I started in wholesaling, and it was not simple. I learned the hard way. I've grinded it out, but I would say for the average person, and I'm not by any means saying I'm better than anyone. Trust me, I have no skill set that anyone couldn't do what I do. But it was tough. It was not as easy as the 30-second infomercials make it seem, or the hour-long webinars that you watch that they get you to they send you the email saying, hey, you can make $30,000 in the next 30 days. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I mean you can, but these results are not typical, right? They're very few. So, I like what you said. It's just, it is harder. And here's the reason why I believe wholesaling is harder. Because when you're wholesaling, that means you're buying it cheaper than anyone else could buy it. In order to do that, you need to, first of all, like you were saying, know your end buyer, right? So if you're going to be wholesaling that property to someone who will rehab it and sell it retail, you need to know what those repair costs are. And if you're just getting into real estate, how do you know that? You almost have to be a rehabber first so that you understand what that process is. What are the holding costs? How long will this project take? What are those repair costs? What are the different contractors that are need to be brought in, and what are their time frames? For example, in our area, we have a lot of foundation repair and things like that. So you need to know what season is it? How am I going to get these guys out there? How is that going to affect the timeline on the rehab? And also, what are those repair costs? What's going to be the bottom line that a rehabber is going to have to stick into that house for them to come out with their bottom number? And if you don't know that going in, how do you make your offer? And how do you get it to the point where you can make money then selling it to a rehabber?
Right.
If they're going to pay $40,000 for the house, that means you need to buy it for less than $40,000, which is the second reason why it's so darn hard. Because you're going to have to pay less than any other investor out there so that there's a spread for you to make when you wholesale it to the other investors. That means they can't have already seen and made an offer on the property. Because if their offer didn't get accepted, how are you going to offer less so you can sell it to them at that price and get yours accepted?
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is, when you get into real estate, they don't really tell you this, but at the end of the day, you need to be good at marketing. If that's something you have no knowledge of, you've never been involved as a marketer, you don't have to have a degree, but if you've had any type of sales or marketing background, you're probably in an advantage than, let's say, the average person just getting in here. But more times than not, I don't know with you, Jackie, how many people have come to me showing me deals, and you're like, where did these numbers come from? They're not even close. The values aren't going to work, and most seasoned investors sniff those people out all the time. So if you come in with bad deals, you're building yourself a bad business and you will not be successful in it. So all those things that you said of knowing the rehab costs, knowing the market, if you get that wrong, you're going to get frustrated and quit. But the reality is real estate, and we're not trying to bash real estate. That's what Jackie and I do to make a living. And
100%.
we do very well with this. But the reality is if you don't start the business correctly and on false pretenses, you're set up to lose, really.
You're setting yourself up to lose. That's exactly it. And we say it all the time. We're not in the real estate business. We're in the marketing business.
Yes, that's so true.
You got to get your phone to ring. You got to find deals that those other investors don't even know are out there yet, which means you have to be doing more and better marketing than what they're doing so that you can get your phone to ring with those leads, and you can get that first grab at it and hopefully get your offer accepted before anybody else knows that it's even out there.
Right.
And I'll say most of the every new wholesaler that's brought me deals so far are either already listed on the MLS and I've already, known about it, or they're bringing me a deal that I already offered on like 2 months ago, and that buyer or that seller is still trying to get top dollar for it. And these new guys come into town and they're like, this is a deal, and it's not even kind of a deal. And, and it's just, it makes me mad because they've been sold a bill of goods, right? They've been sold a lie that this is easy and that you can just go out and pick these things up. They're still looking at foreclosures. Everybody's already seen those, and they've either offered on them or they didn't want to. And so when you get it at your price, it's just not low enough for you to sell it to someone and make a profit.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that with this seller market that is right now, it's even tougher to find good deals, and it's even tougher to wholesale. So again, this is why it's probably the toughest job in real estate. So anyone listening now, if you've not already tuned out and because you're discouraged, like, well, I bought that course, and now I'm going to wholesale. So now what, Jackie? That's what everyone's teaching. So, where do people go from here? If either A, you've made that jump, you've bought the course, you're involved in doing wholesaling, where do people go from here? We're not trying to be a party pooper, but we're also trying to be realists too.
Well, I would say one of the things that I did, and my husband and I spent $25,000 up front, and we just realized really fast that we did not have enough information to go forward. And they were telling us the wrong things. They were trying to get us to invest in markets outside of not only our own area, but outside of our own state. States we didn't even know anything about. We just decided that we were not going to dwell on it, and we're just going to cut our losses and restart.
Yeah.
We just pushed the restart button because it was either that or continue dragging that out and lose more time and more money with a failed program. Yeah. Totally frustrated at that point. But we decided not to feel bad about it anymore. Just give ourselves permission to just cut ties and start over. And we started over with a personal coach. So somebody local that can guide you through, or that knows your market, or that knows your struggle, someone who's actually got a track record of doing it, not just some call center in Utah. And he immediately put us on the right track. We went out. We were scared because we still didn't have everything we needed. We didn't have like a true like hand-holding local coach, but we had what we could get at the time. But he definitely put us on the right course. We went out. We bought a house. We made $21,000 on our first rehab, and that made us feel like we can do this. We can do this.
Because one of the biggest reasons why people don't do anything is fear, right? They don't know. They're afraid to make action. And specifically in today's marketplace, if you don't move now, you miss the deal to someone else who does move now.
You got to be fast.
You have to be fast.
The phone rings, you better answer.
And indecision will be the killer of your business.
Yeah.
So I think, it's important. You have to team up with a local person. The same thing in my business. You know, I basically networked with other local investors that were doing deals, and ultimately teamed up with a coach as well that helped get me to where I want to be. I figured it out myself. I guess so, and I kind of did. To an extent, but could I have expedited the learning process?
Oh gosh.
If I would have early on made a decision to just find a local person, tie into that person? Absolutely.
Yeah, and we just didn't have a lot of that back then.
That is true.
The other thing is, thank God for both of us. Well, it was easier back then, too.
It was, yes.
And we're not trying to, say anything or make any excuses for today, but it is because the market is a seller market now. When we got involved, there was more deals and fewer investors.
Yeah.
So it did give us a little bit of grace in that particular arena. I look at getting started now, and as we work with our students, and we just got to be really diligent in doing the A, the B, and the C's.
Right. Yeah. You can't really miss a piece. You can't make too many mistakes on the marketing aspect. Otherwise, your business will suffer. Your phone will not ring. There's just not as plentiful deals as it once was. There's not the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Like back in the day, you could find off MLS. I mean, in most places, specifically here, there are no deals unless you get a pocket deal from someone that knew of something, and you just happen to be the guy there day one with an accepted offer. So having that local coach, I think, is essential. The other thing, too, is getting involved with, like Appleton REIA. I love our club because it is so warm and inviting, and people are willing to share. I mean, we stick around, I don't know how many hours after the meeting and just talk business and life. And, I mean, so many deals are done sometimes after the meeting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And just that networking and understanding, sometimes it's just understanding everybody's kind of in the same boat, right? Sometimes it's just having someone hear your challenge of the week. And sometimes it's sharing your wins. We always had a saying that if you don't need the meeting needs you. Yeah. So when you're having a bad time, you're down in the dumps, your phone maybe hasn't been ringing as much, your marketing's not pulling, and believe me, that's going to happen, right? Yes. It ebbs and flows. Then you need the meeting, and you need to hear how somebody just got this awesome deal, or somebody just closed one and made a nice profit, because that brings you up and gets you reinvigorated to go out and do it. And if you're the guy with the deal, you need to be there so that the people who maybe their marketing isn't pulling right now, or they haven't been putting their marketing out, that it reinvigorates them. And that is, so if you don't need the meeting needs you. And
absolutely,
it's a great group of everybody being willing to help and share.
Right. I mean, that's one level of it. I mean, one of the things that both Jacci and I provide too. So if you are looking for more of that local coach, that is a service that we do provide for people who want to really be serious about investing in real estate. And we have a conversation with these people, make sure that it's a good fit. And obviously, if that's something that you have a desire to do, if you're listening now and you were that person that dropped the X amount of dollars on a course or what have you, or got suckered into the latest webinar, as we all find those squirrels in our life, The reality is bring yourself back, hit the reset button like Jackie said. And I would highly, encourage you talking to Jackie or myself, coming to a recent meet or an upcoming meeting, or reach out to us personally. I mean, we're accessible through, you can find us on the internet, if you don't have our number personally.
Pretty easy.
Yeah. And talk with us about what this coaching program is all about, because it's an exciting way that we really set you up to win in this business, no matter what the market is.
Right, and it's it's personal, it's one-on-one, hand-holding, physical meetings, seeing each other, as well as an incredible back office, website-based training that's there with recordings that you can play over and over, or go focus on one module that maybe you need, and all the contracts and documents and everything else. But the most important part is our local market knowledge and that ability to take people through their deals.
You can't, like I said, you can't delay in today's market. If you don't know the market, you're going to fail. So that's just something we want to encourage you with as well, that if that's something you're looking to do, reach out to us and we can talk more about what that all entails. But I think the other exciting thing is this month's REIA, which is fast approaching. What is the day of that? That is going to be
Tuesday, April 17th.
See, I knew you'd know that. So we have an awesome guest joining us. I'm excited about this because we both know him personally. And I mean, this guy is just a rock star. And this is a guy who does deals. This isn't just some guru.
A lot of deals.
This is a guy who's done it on the high market, on the low market, and continues to do deals at a very high level.
Yeah. So Jason Roberts will be visiting us from St. Louis, Missouri, and he has what's called the REI Blueprint, the real estate investing blueprint. And in reality, it's everything Dan and I started talking about, which is marketing, right?
Yes.
If you don't have the marketing down, it's very difficult to get the good deals. Then you need to attach yourself to somebody who does know the marketing and buy all their wholesales if you can. Yeah. But you can be the wholesaler, or you can have really sweet deals to rehab yourself if you can get that marketing down. So he'll be here with Rachel, and they'll be talking all about the REI Blueprint. They're coming on Tuesday. They'll spend 90 minutes with us doing all they can in 90 minutes without, making your brain hurt. Right. And then they'll be back Saturday on the 21st.
That's awesome.
And do a whole day workshop. So kind of a taste, an hour and a half taste. And then Saturday they'll be here for the day and just really getting into the nitty gritty and answering those questions.
And they provide so much content on that Saturday workshop. I mean, come ready to take a lot of notes. Come ready to learn, because you will walk away. Your mind might explode with how much information they share. So it's a great opportunity, one, to get to find out what they are on Tuesday, and then of course block your calendar off for Saturday to be part of the workshop and all the details. We'll talk about that at the REIA coming up on Tuesday. So that pretty much wraps it up for this version of the Appleton REIA podcast. We're going to do these from time to time to give you other real estate related topics. I don't know, it's fun, huh, Jackie, to sit here and chat?
Good time.
Not that we need a reason to kind of hang out and talk. I mean, we probably do that for hours anyway. Usually you and I, we have like a 5-minute meeting and it turns into like a 2-hour meeting just because we're talking life, business, and that's just the type of people we are. We love to give and share. So have yourself a great day, guys. Until we talk next time, this is the Appleton REIA podcast. Have a great day. See ya.
Bye.